Hi everyone, I'm Sunny and today's video is going to be about Pluto in the 4th house or Pluto in Cancer. So if you guys have this placement, it's going to be a lot of transformative energies regarding your home and what makes you feel at home. So also regarding your mother. The mother figure is someone that's going to be very transformative figure, whether it's positive or negative. It's very much how your Pluto is aspected and how you perceive Pluto, but Pluto can be heavy regardless, even if it's positive. That positive can be, imagine your mother going through some turmoil and you feel that wound where she had to endure a lot of maybe negativity, a lot of a lot of traumatic events, maybe like loss of home, or maybe people constantly like trying to maybe evict her or things like that, or something regarding to even her own health. It's like transformative health. So maybe she was, I think a lot of these things very resonate a lot with some Saturnian energies, by the way. I do kind of reminisce in some of the things when it comes to this, but from what I said in that video when it comes to Saturn in the 4th, but I think you might also notice that it's darker in the sense where when she went through these things, or you went through these things with your mother, if you have the positive aspect, it can be where it's read as, yes, these things did happen, but we pushed through and we got ourselves in a healthier environment. Not as healthy, but healthy enough that you can live with it. For example, it's like, oh, we learned this lesson and we transform ourselves by giving, ourselves, like if you guys had, I'm trying to not say certain trigger words, so I'm going to try my best to kind of soften these words, but let's say the union between maybe your parents was tumultuous, there you go. So if that was tumultuous, you perceive that aggression firsthand, and finally you guys got yourselves into a safer place, that's my nerves. Safer place when it comes to no longer feeling threatened, that Plutonian energy is going to overpower you and make you feel less than or unworthy. It's like, it's a scary placement where you don't know if you have the strength to not be in such Plutonian Martian energy, where it can be aggressive, it can be scary, and you feel like you're threatened, your safety's threatened. And that's the best way I can soften this. But you get the gist what I'm trying to say is that you learn not to put yourself maybe as an easy target, or place yourself an easy target. It's not that you're purposely doing it, but sometimes you don't see when the situations change as they progress, right? It can be a sudden switch. So you never know how you got yourself into these things. You just know how to get yourself out. That can be the positive aspect, right? It can be the scary thing to experience, regardless of whether it's positively aspected or not. But I'm just trying to show you some best case scenarios, right? So that can be one scenario that can be threatening to you, your home environment, and even your mother. So these are some examples. You may also experience the negative side, which can be having a very aggressive mother figure, or anyone at home, for example, who's living within your own home. You get where I'm trying to substitute that A word, but you get what I'm trying to say, I think. That strong negative Martian energy. Someone always fighting with you. You can also experience that, even if it's not maybe within the household. I think that also applies a little bit to the 3rd house, where it's your community, but it's your surrounding is very aggressive, where you could be living in like low income areas, for example, and these are scary areas, not safe areas, where it's like, oh, at any at any moment, like, somebody can come in and, like, barge in and steal your things, or um, point blank, right, at you guys. I think you know where I'm trying to substitute certain terminology. You can hear those, those sounds at night, along with the sirens maybe. And I think I'm trying my best to make these pretty easy to be solvable. But you hear those sounds at night or in the day, and you're so accustomed to it that you're becoming indifferent to it. But maybe at some point when you feel it a little bit more firsthand, it can be very scary and traumatic. And you just kind of I think also some things that I didn't mention maybe in previous videos is that you might also feel that you normalize a lot of this behavior, or like behavior that was traumatic, that you just kind of, you go about it and you're like, oh, well, this happened, but I didn't think of it much at that time. But now that I'm older, it kind of did leave a scar, an emotional scar, a traumatic scar, like a psychological one. And you're like, it's strange. Sometimes you kind of see these things, sometimes you don't. I think it's 50-50. It really just depends on how specific you get when it comes to that experience of, like, recalling, like, oh yeah, this thing really did mess me up, and that's why, like, I am more focused on maybe considering to live in, like, gated communities, or areas that are, like, less aggressive, areas that feel that I can maybe not lock my door. Like, I'm surprised at some people, like, so kudos to you, but I think I'd still lock the door. Things like that, where it's like some communities are very comfortably safe, and you feel like, oh, I can, or you might struggle to get into those areas because you feel that no matter how things change, you still have that in the back of your mind, like, let me close the door, let me lock the doors of the car, let me lock everything and make sure that the security cameras are on. Things like that you feel like make you feel safe within your home. That's how you feel that you're getting your power back. So these are some examples, right? And you realize that maybe at some point these things need to change. I think there's always extremes. You never know. Either you're being too safe, like too overly cautious, too overprotective, because Cancer is a very protective energy. Protective of the mother, protective of the home, protective of their family, of that personal space that makes them feel home and whole. And whatever that may feel, that Cancerian energy is going to be very protected. With this Pluto energy, is extremely overprotective and overbearing as well. I think that you can also be yourself someone that could be overbearing. Maybe it's not your mother, maybe you as a mother figure to your kids, or to your fur babies, or to even your partner. You tend to be very overprotective. It's like, mine. And they can be like, oh, you don't need to do this. Like, no, I have to, I want to. Like, what is going on? I think of a very strong, I don't know, these are her placements, but I like to give you some, sometimes I like to give, I don't know if I always mention examples, but I try my best to. I think of how protective Angelina Jolie is with her kids, right? So she's on top of everything that they do. She knows, and I think a lot of celebrities, not just her, a lot of celebrities do that, and with good reason. They have a very different dynamic when it comes to the public eye, and what feels safe to the average person can be very different to a person in a spotlight. So they have to be overly cautious of certain things, certain behaviors, their phone usage, who they hang out with, who their connections are, where they're at, what schools they attend to, things like that. I mean, I also think of, like, every other, like, maybe even Kim Kardashian, or who else is, because not every celebrity is overprotective when it comes to every single thing, but these are some examples, right, where I don't think Kim is too overprotective, but I think more so Angelina Jolie in that aspect of, these are my kids, I know where they're at, I know what they're doing, I know their interests, I know their friends, I like to be with them. It's like you're someone that needs to be around the mother wants to be around you, or you want to be that motherly figure with somebody, but it's like to an extreme. So it's either no connection, like absolutely not, and it's very negative and very aggressive. I don't want to say the other A B word, but you get what I'm trying to say. or you're overbearing. And it can be a little too daunting on the person. So, and even to yourself. So with this Pluto energy, it's trying to transform that and stay to the middle ground. It's like, I don't want to lean into too much to one end, too much to the other. You kind of have to have a sweet spot and trying to not let the reins of, like, how do I say, let go of the reins a bit, right? Allow that home to guide you a little bit as to how much freedom it desires and control, because sometimes that could be a little too much. Maybe you are very controlling in your household when it comes to how things get done and cleaned and what is purchased for the home or what is cared for in the home or who enters the home. Things like that. The nutrition that maybe your kids and pets and partner has. How you give your family love and affection and caringness. It just feels like you could have a little bit of a too much extreme, or you're receiving that extreme, and you might want to go to the very opposite end because you just don't want to have none of that. So maybe you can end up in a very loving home because you didn't receive that at some point. You just received a lot of negativity and not healthy experiences when it comes to the mother or the motherland, even at that, your home country or your home itself, and you decide to go to a different place or the different family. Maybe you establish yourself in a different aspect that is completely different to how you started. So that can be one way it plays out. And you can also experience a lot of turmoil as it goes by. I don't think it's something that you're going to experience easily, that's like, oh, a happy ending, there you go, or drastic change. It's never going to change. I think you need to understand that there's always these constant changes that are going to happen, but it's just going to be not maybe as frequently as you assume, but it's frequent enough where you have to reinvent the home, reinvent what you associate, what makes you feel safe and home and nurtured. And it might be every couple of years or every couple of months. It really does depend on what else is aspecting your Pluto and how your Pluto is aspected and how you yourself connect that. I can't answer that for you. Only you can answer those things when you see your chart. I'm just trying to point out some guidance for you as you read it. And there's a lot of transformation when it comes to maybe your roots as well. And maybe you didn't have positive experiences with your extended family too. This isn't the only placement when it comes to family, but it's the main one. It can be triggering. They might have pushed down that you had to maybe become that man or wife, husband or wife, lady or man of the home, right? And so they push on these values, things that don't really necessarily resonate with you, and you just don't want none of that. And you completely try to not rebel, because it's more Uranus, but you find your own definition of what makes a family. So maybe not having a family is what's transformational for you. Maybe having a family is transformational for you. Maybe adopting or maybe establishing your own family within your friends or community or coworkers is going to make you feel safe. Whatever that definition is, that's what Pluto wants you to transform. Pluto wants you to change what was given to you and established onto you without you having your own voice in that. So that can be one thing. Even the relationship between your feminine side, although I think that can also relate to Venus, which is Taurus, the second house. I don't know if I mentioned that on that one, but the relationship you have with women, there could be envy and jealousy and harsh treatment you could receive or give women, regardless of your gender. So you might have that transformative energy there. And how you connect to femininity, whether it's positive or negative, you might learn that as you go, you might shut that down, that part of you down, because it just brought you traumatic experiences, psychological experiences, because people might have sexualized, right? I hope you're good with spelling, but they might have done that to you a lot because of your figure, because you looked like someone that they could establish themselves and form a family union and kids, and you might find that oppressive, and you might not want to encompass that energy. So there's moments in time where you're gonna try to kind of go for it all in or all out within that energy. It's like, yes, at some point I want this, and then it's not like the next day you'll change, but slowly you'll start feeling like, oh, this isn't really what I want. I thought I wanted this, but now I want this other thing because I feel that I have more freedom over my body. I have more freedom to choose differently, to not be home, to be more than that. So you could experience these extremes, but through these extremes, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn that self-care for yourself, for your body, for your female body, for your feminine side, for your nurturing side, for that inner, well, the inner child is more like the fifth house, but that inner feminine that needed nurturing, I think I said that earlier, but more or less focusing on healing yourself and that connection with women, that connection with the mother, the motherland, the home environment, the foundation itself, the home itself, the physical home itself, and everything that is brought with it is something you're going to work on to transform and peel and reinvent yourself and reinvent that connection you have with that value that you set with it. So that's what I have for you guys. I might add more notes. I always end up adding notes to every video, so I might add more notes because I am happy with this video. I think I'm a lot happier with this with this one than the previous one I made on the third house in Gemini, but that's because I think my allergies are flaring up a lot, and I don't feel like I gave that much information as much as I wanted to. So thank you all for listening. By the way, I hope you guys are appreciating my series videos, and I'll see you on the next one, which would be Saturn in the 5th house or Saturn in Leo. So thank y'all and have a good day, and bye-bye.